Hi, 3DMJers. This is Andrea Valdez, and you are listening to the 3D Muscle Journey podcast. Before we dive in today, I just wanted to remind you guys that we have recently created a video library of educational materials at 3dmjvault.com. The Vault is a place we can organize our best information, pair it with some of our favorite resources, and share it with all of you in one online database. A lot of it is free, some of it is for purchase to help support this podcast, and we'll continue adding pieces of updated content to it every few weeks for the rest of the year. Once again, that's 3dmjvault.com, and we really hope you like it. Hi 3DMJers, this is Andrea Valdez, and today I am talking to Jeff Alberts and Alberto Nunez about what it is like to be a bodybuilder with a desk job. Many of our athletes have to deal with the stresses and challenges that come with working in all different types of environments, but the not so obvious problems that can arise with being mostly sedentary outside of the gym are rarely addressed. Because us three coaches fall into this category of people who do most of their work at a computer, we try to offer a lot of personal solutions that help keep us sane, mobile, and healthy while still handling both our athletic and vocational responsibilities at the same time. This episode offers a lot of insight for athletes and coaches alike as we go in depth about the importance of being able to adjust training habits, lifestyle patterns, and nutritional needs based on the occupational changes that are bound to happen within everyone's professional career throughout their lifetime. As usual, if you have any feedback or comments on this particular episode, you can leave them at 3dmusclejourney.com or our YouTube channel at youtube.com/team3dmj and leave it under podcast number 67. So let's get into it. Here's my conversation with Jeff Alberts and Alberto Nunez about bodybuilding with a desk job. Jeff, what year did you become confined to a desk?
That would be 2010. Yeah, 2010, because 2009 I worked in the auto plant. They shut the auto plant down. Then it went from physical job to on my butt. Yeah, 2009 to 2010. Yep.
Was there an in-betweener or no? Or it was like, this happened and therefore now I'm at my desk?
It was that abrupt. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, they closed the plant down. No more factory work. Out of work. Now I'm sitting at home on a computer trying to do this coaching thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it was that abrupt. Yeah.
Were you in prep at that time?
2009, I was prepping. Yeah. I was prepping. They closed the plant, I want to say like April, I think. April 2009. And I prepped until August, September. So half of that prep was at the plant. The other half was not at the plant, if I remember correctly.
Okay. We'll come back to that. That's good.
Yeah.
What about you, Bert?
It's something similar, I guess. I think, every gig that I've had prior to this one. Am I cutting off, guys?
No, you're good.
Okay. I'm like, I couldn't hear anything. It had a combination of sitting, moving, and that's pretty much what I was always used to. But the last, I'd say since like 2011, 12 onwards, it's been desk jockey. Yeah. And it does bring up some serious things that, I think should be considered when moving to swap. I think either way, but I think especially sitting down. I thought, if anything, once I got to the point that I was just going to be sitting all day, that it would only affect my workouts in a positive way, but it's hasn't always been the case.
Okay. What was your job before? What was the last thing you did before exclusively coaching at your desk?
So I ran after school programs in Oakland, or helped run after school programs. So it was a combination of a little bit of everything. You're sitting there doing paperwork, sitting there, as head of the class, and then you go and play kickball, and then you come back in, right? So outside of that was where the majority of my time was spent, was with children in some way, which involves a little bit of both.
All right. Jeff, at the plant, you lift heavy shit, or you just are walking and moving?
No, it wasn't lifting heavy stuff. It was just a lot of repetitive motion. Okay. And you're on your feet. It's a assembly line, and it doesn't stop for anything. Like, you can't even go take a leak. You had to basically have someone relieve you to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Because like every shit, I think towards the end, man, we were building like one car every 43 seconds, 44 seconds, something like that.
What?
Yeah.
A whole Toyota?
Yeah, Toyota Corolla, and at the time it was Pontiac Vibes. Before those cars kind of went out the window.
Crap.
But yeah, every 43 seconds. So it's nonstop.
Why do I pay so much for my Toyota then? I'm just kidding.
Like, you don't have free time to like just stand there and do it. You're moving.
Yeah.
You're moving. So yeah, it's just on my feet a good chunk of the day. So
if that's mid prep, did you notice like how big of a difference, like we'll say April to May? Where you're like, and I can only eat half as much as I used to, or
I didn't at the time. I just wasn't really aware of like the differences. I wasn't really thinking in that perspective. I think it was just so focused on, okay, I got to eat my 5 or 6 meals a day. I got to do my cardio. It's like I was just a machine, and I didn't have the same knowledge I have now back then. It was just more like, okay, this is what I wrote out for my prep. I'm gonna follow it to a T, regardless of what the environments were.
Did shit stall out?
No, because I was doing like an hour of cardio a day, and I wasn't refeeding and things like that. So if I go back in time, I'm like, man, I could have ate a lot more.
You were probably eating the same thing, but once your life changed, you were like finally feeding yourself.
Well, yeah, think about it. It's on my feet all day moving. Plus, I was doing cardio on top of that, plus hard lifting, lack of sleep. Because when I did work at the plant, I was commuting 3 hours a day, so it was a lack of sleep. So, man, the environment I was in, no wonder I competed at 160. Whereas in 2 years later, desk job, refeeds, different type of training, I'm up 10 pounds heavier on stage. It's not because of the off season. It was because of just the environments that I was prepping in. Yeah. And the knowledge behind it as well too. It was a big difference 2 years later.
Wow. And then Bert, I like how you said that. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, to roll off Jeff's story, I had one job once upon a time where I worked in a granite and marble warehouse. Yeah, so basically you're lifting rocks all day. A 12 by 12, a container 12 by 12 is just a big square rock. And that was my first time I had done anything like that. And I remember trying to train the way I was when I was still working at my previous job. And I was like 19, 20, so young, no issues recovering up until that point. And I just remember how it took me a full 4 months, I feel, to get to the point where either I couldn't sense the difference anymore because it was just my usual, or I learned to train smarter, conserve, and then just got acclimated to the gig. But man, it's tough to like bodybuild and have a job that has you using your body basically all day.
Yeah.
So the fact that Jeff prepped that way, I was in a position where at that point I just wanted to bulk. And my biggest issue is I just couldn't maintain weight. Yeah, and like to prep like and Jeff did it a few times. It wasn't just 2011 or 9. It was a few times. You prepped while having that job.
Well, I had that job 16 and a half years. So my very first prep, I had that job. So I prepped from 1993 all the way to 2009. So there was like a handful of preps in that environment. And what's funny is if I look back at the photos and stuff, I did improve over the courses of the preps, but I just kind of wonder, I'm like, man, if I didn't have that physical job and I did things a little bit differently, would I have how much more improvement could I have made?
Mhm.
But I try not to think about it too much because it gets a little depressing. But but it is what it is, you know. It's like all that experience kind of made me who I am today, so I can't really complain too much.
And let me tell you this, like, just to show you how much grind you had, dude, because you had that one prep where you lost a crap ton of weight, a crap ton of weight. I forgot the week to pound ratio.
It was my very first prep. I lost 30 pounds in 6 weeks.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And you know you were training hard because that's your first prep, so you're grinding away in the gym.
I was grinding. Yeah, I was like Yates and Menser mentality in the gym. It was funny
That's
as
gotta ruin you for like months.
This one dude, he was like on my job. He was just like, he didn't have no filters. He's like, dude, you look fucking sick. You look sick. And I'm like, you know, I was so ego. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about, man. You know, I'm prepping. I'm getting ready for a show. I'm like in my mind, just shut up, dude. But yeah, I mean, I did. I looked like I was getting ready to go to the grave. I looked deathly.
Oh my God.
But that goes to show you, like, Jeff, like, people know you as like the more conservative, like, you know, responsible lifter, I think, out of all of us. And it's like, what people don't understand is that a lot of it, the reason that you are the way you are today goes back to like that sort of shit and like doing that for years on end. And at the end, something kind of, I guess, not quite as intense ended up being what yielded like the best physique.
Yeah.
But it's good to do it all.
But it's crazy because I look back all those preps and I literally thought at times I was being lazy because I was tired.
So
like I felt tired.
Yeah.
Like I know it was tiredness from, you know, lack of sleep and just long hours and commuting and hardly any food. And I'm like, I used to think to myself, you're being a pussy.
Yeah.
You're not working hard enough.
I think that's awesome. I mean, it's just a state, it's a mind over matter thing. And that sounds so cheesy, but sometimes, dude, when your mind's set, it's better you don't know. You know what I mean? Like when you compare yourselves to people, like you didn't have anyone, you were like, there's this dude on this magazine, he must do this, if not more. So fuck it. You know? I like, that's a cool story. Because you can, like, it can motivate you or whatever, but it can make you soft too. You know, both ways, seeing other people and, oh shit, so-and-so did it without dying. I could do without dying, where it's like, and then there's so many other people that that are like, I could do it without dying too. And it's like, no, you need to go hard. Like, it's both, you know? Yeah.
It's like when I got those pro cards, it was like, yeah, I earned that shit.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't so much, I beat some guys. Yeah, there's some good quality competition I beat. That's great. But it was like, actually, the environment in which I did those preps and how I made it to the end, I'm just like, yeah, I earned that shit.
Yeah. But, and like, Bert, just as hard though, wasn't there a time you got to like what was your job when you were like over 200 pounds?
Okay, this is hilarious.
Okay, I'm ready.
I worked in a supermarket around food, and I was a deli dude. So, and they made it so easy to bulk badly too, because you didn't even have to bring cash. You just put in your code, and they took the groceries off your check. So it was super convenient, you know. So I just remember running through the shelves, kind of like doing this basically, and it was I didn't move as much for that job, and other than that, I was a student, so I was just sitting down. So, you know, it was a more manageable combination, if anything, and I was around food quite a bit. But yeah, every gig I've had, it's kind of been that way, where it was like part sitting down, part moving, part sitting down, with the exception of the first one, which I found to honestly be, you had your long days when you were working and you just didn't quite feel up to having a fantastic training session, but at the same time, like the combination of both, the fact that you just never really stopped or were stuck in one position for prolonged periods, made training very predictable. And looking back, is like you kind of took that for granted, I guess.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is that like my training, when I wasn't in a deficit. We're talking about like just like off season at that fast paced job. I didn't have as many, like, I didn't have no low back issues, hardly, no hip issues. I had a little bit of shoulder issue just because some of the jobs I did was a lot of repetitive motion with your arms. But outside of that, like my hips, low back, all felt a lot better than they have the last, few years now, sitting in this desk, just being cramped up all day long and not really moving as much. I think my hips, my lower back have kind of gotten a little immobile. So it's like going from sitting then out to the gym and doing squats. It's almost like, shit, that's like a big stop and go. Mm-hmm. Whereas when I was moving all day long, going to the gym afterwards, it just felt like, okay, I've been warm all damn day. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint the combination of you were younger then, you were more active then, you lift more now. Like it's probably
even in my mid to late 30s though, because I was in my mid to late 30s. I was in my late 30s when I that job came to an end. Yeah. So even at that time, it's not too far off where I'm at now.
No, but I mean, like shit. I don't know. I feel like it doesn't seem like a lot of years, but it's a lot more weight.
There's variables.
Yeah.
Though. It's not just like I can't just say that's
yeah.
But there's definitely a bunch of different variables to consider.
Yeah. I like that you said, Bert, that people would think if they all had desk jobs, like if I could just rest all day, then I would be, my training would be just like awesome. And you were like, but it's made some things worse. And like Jeff, you just said, the contrast between lifting and normal life. What else, Bert?
Yeah, no, there's definitely the pros and cons for sure. Yeah. Like I'm not as physically tired when I get to the gym, but there's a host of things that I have had to deal with since I started just spending often like 12 hours in this position, this exact same position. There was a few surprises for sure. I recall that my first line of defense, and this was when the whole Kelly Starrett thing was just huge, and everyone was drinking that Kool-Aid. What did he say? It was like sitting is the new smoking or something along those lines, right? But I remember that I started to stand up on my lower body days. Like that was the first thing that I ever did to be proactive because otherwise I was seated. And that made a huge difference. And that was certainly a step in the right direction. And it follows the pattern that I follow today to kind of, stay a little more predictable. The first year I feel like I got away with sitting down, and then after the first year, it's like, okay, your body's like, all right, I'm just gonna stay tight in these positions.
What about you, Jeff? Do you still sit all day, right? You don't stand.
I stand on occasion. I'll probably stand maybe 3 to 5 minutes on the hour, but that got kind of old. So what I've been doing is like I'll get up and like go downstairs, get some water, or I'll go walk to my mailbox. So I have I get up and walk around, even if it's like 30 seconds to a minute, just to get out of this chair because I do get super, super stiff, especially my hips.
Yeah, I can't do anything. Like I can't do any of them for too long. Like this desk that I'm sitting at, I press a button and it stands. So I'll come in and stand often. I'll sit often, and then I go to the guest room and I lay down with my like knees up on pillows.
Yeah.
Since I started, I didn't have to do all that much, but with the training now that I do, like I do a little work while I'm in bed before I get up for real. Like I'll type a bunch of things on my phone or whatever, and I go do a session, and I come back and I'll stand while I deal with athletes, and then I'll lay down and work till I pass out. Because I take a nap almost every day. And then I go back to train, and then I can come and sit for an hour or two, and then I have to stand, and then I go eat dinner. So, like, I can't do any one of the positions for, say, hour and a half is where my back, or some part of me starts hating me. Sometimes my knees are just tired because I ran. Sometimes my back hurts because I lifted heavy. Sometimes my shoulder hurts, and so like if I'm like this with my arm up here too much, I'll have to lay down and put it on the pillow behind me. It's really sad. I'm like a 7-year-old woman. Now that I'm saying it all out loud, and I don't think about it all. I just have gotten to a point where I'm like, this thing needs to rest, whatever this thing is. Then I go find the place where it rests, and then I go there.
We're all freaks, and it's hilarious. Like if the average person heard that, but no, as you say that, I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Oh shoot, I do that. It's a collection of many different behaviors throughout the day.
Yeah, and it's weird because like you know your body after a few years, right? I mean, can't explain it, but like my chiro did this like Q&A session at the gym I train at, and someone said that too. Like, should I be standing all the time? And he was like, unfortunately, that did become popular, but rather than standing all the time, it's actually like you shouldn't do anything for a long time. You shouldn't sit all day. You shouldn't stand all day. You just, like Jeff said, you need to keep moving however often it is that you need to keep things
I got on the stand. I tried to jump on that standing bandwagon, and I got my lower back fatigued. Like I got fatigued. Like I was standing too much, and then when I go out to train, I was like already feeling kind of wiped out from it. Yeah. So like I found kind of that sweet spot for me. Like I said, it's like, okay, maybe 3 to 5 minutes on the hour, I'm up moving around and not sitting.
Yeah.
That's enough to kind of break up that monotony for me.
And there's like foot rockers now. Have y'all seen this? Brandon has 2 of them where like it's like a foot thing, but it looks like a little boat. So that when you're sitting there, your ankles can move and your knees can move. I don't know if that's even, he has them. That's all I know. And I play with them sometimes. They have like foot hammocks. Kelly Starrett has a thing now with Rogue where you literally put your foot on it. Like if you're at a bar and they have that, literally the bar underneath the bar where you put your foot on, Yeah. Like it's like that, but it swings.
Okay.
I don't know any of the science behind that, but supposedly that's the thing now, or one of the things. But it's not like you can't do it on your own, right? Or I'll just go stretch. Shit, like you said, 5 minutes. Walking around doesn't. I tend to get like upper body closed. So, laying on my back, seated or laying wall angels and shit like that.
What's interesting is when I started doing, like, once this prep kind of got really heated up and I had to get a lot of cardio in, I was walking like anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour. And I was like, okay, this will be good to kind of help my hips out and all that. And it seemed to work at first, but then combine like more and more walking, like almost daily. And then I accumulate that with the squatting and the deadlifting. It started. So I didn't realize it was the walking. I thought it was just the squatting and the deadlifting. So I tried adjusting the training to kind of fix things. It didn't really work, but I said, you know what? I'm gonna try recumbent bike and just pedal instead of walk. And within like a week, I was like, oh, okay. So I think for me, the walking was just getting to be too much. So you factor in the walking, the sitting, the squatting, the deadlifting, everything was just compounding.
Yeah. So it's almost like if we do anything too much, sitting, standing, walking, running, lifting, like anything that you do too much of, right, is going to impact it.
Andrea, let me tell you my routine. I'm
ready. Tell me.
It's similar to yours, kind of.
Okay, let's hear it.
So, right now, we'll go with off season because that's where I spend the majority of my time. So, I'll walk to the 7-Eleven. You've done that walk with me in the morning, right?
It's a nice walk.
Say hi to all the familiar faces. So, I start with that, and then what I do is every Skype, especially in the morning, is when I usually have my Skype consultations, and that's when I'm most freshest. So, I'll stand up for that part of the day. And then once I'm done with that and I'm messing with Excel spreadsheets, at that point I will get to sitting down because I really have to use my brain, and I find it easier to really focus when I'm seated. Do that for about 2 hours, and then what I do is I will have a midday walk when I can. Because besides the fact that, the tightness that we've talked about, like I need sunlight. Like I'm one of those people that if I do that routinely, I feel better. So in the off season, there's usually a middle of the day walk, come back, sit down again, and then do some work. And if I have the time, I'll take a pre-workout nap, so I get to lay down. and then it's off to the gym. But I think that combination's worked fairly well. I think walking does a lot for me, more than most people. And is it the sunlight? To me, that's been a huge one, because shoot, there was times where, especially when I first started this, it's like, and in the winter, it's like you just don't see the sun for like a few weeks before you actually realize that this is how you're living. So yeah, that's what my routine is kind of like. It's made a huge difference for sure.
Yeah. I can't do like Jeff does. Or like a lot of people do. Like, this is my big ass work chunk, and then it's fam time. Like, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Although I'm proud of you for doing that. And I know that that's like pretty normal, but I just, it's not even now it's a bodily thing, but only for like the last couple of years or whatever. Mm-hmm. But mentally, like, I really suck at doing one thing for more than like an hour or two. And then it starts, like, the productivity level, like, whatever it is, my brain just like starts dying.
You guys have ADD, that's why.
It's
that's it.
Both of you guys are like, ugh. I'm like the opposite. I could just sit in front of the TV and watch football all day if I needed to, and would be totally fine and happy.
I can't. It gives me anxiety. I never wanted
to admit that I have a 2-hour window, but I do.
It gives me anxiety. Anything for too long it stresses me out.
Yeah, 2 hours is about my window on one similar-ish type task, and then after that, it's just. Well, and like even if I try it, goes nowhere.
Even Sundays when I don't train, like, I'll do something that's like really important for 2 or 3 hours at the desk, and then eat something, because I eat all day, y'all. It's stupid. And then I'll go, if I still have more computer stuff though, because it's Sundays I get to, I'll just take it and lay down with it, and then I'll eat again, and then do something, and then come back to the desk. Like, I have to break it up. Even if it's all computer, it has to be in different places. But let's talk about that though, Jeff, because I think that is the majority of working individuals in most countries. I don't know. Who listens to us mostly? It's America, UK, Australia, are the main in Germany are the top 4, I think. Yeah. And when YouTube tells us. So, like, most of those people. Jeff has his day. Yeah, that's pretty average.
It's more typical. More typical than ours. Like, people at offices can't tell their boss, I'm gonna go take a nap real quick.
Exactly.
Start to suck.
It's 8 to 5, 9 to 5, or whatever.
How do you, other than any other hacks for that besides like 3 to 5 minutes makes a huge difference for you per hour? That's cool.
Yeah, I mean if you have an office job, that might be what someone might just have, just because their boss may be like, why are you up from your desk all the time, not working?
Yeah.
So maybe it is just like, hey, let me escape to the bathroom for a couple minutes here.
Yeah.
Because if I was like, let's say that assembly line job was an office job, like in that environment, there's no way I could get up and do what you're doing. I'm gonna go lay on the couch with my computer and all that thing, and that's not reality.
I forget.
That's not most people's reality.
Yeah, everyone's gonna think me and Bert are pussies and we don't do anything all day. That's gonna make me upset. That we're lazy.
It's just to think about. If you're in an office environment, if you're not the boss, then you probably only have these little windows that you can actually do something, like get up, walk around, or stretch for a minute or two or whatever on the hour.
Yeah,
I thought of that, Jeff.
Even a lunchtime break, like Berto does for his midday, go for a walk. 10-minute walk, 15-minute walk on your lunch break. Or some people I've Skyped with actually train on their lunch breaks.
Oh God, I couldn't do that.
That's a good way to break up, all that sitting.
Yeah. Do you just have like a lunch break in the middle of your day, Jeff? Like you eat breakfast, work for whatever, lunch, work, and then you're done?
Yeah. Yeah, typical lunch like midday, like noon on most days.
Do you do it like, because I think you're the only one. No, Eric does that too, right? He has a work day and then he trains and then has the evening with Barb, right? We shouldn't speak for him.
No, he breaks his stuff up too. I'm pretty sure he does. Yeah.
And then Brad too.
Brad breaks his day up.
So it's by choice or just because that's kind of how like the family dynamic works? Or do you prefer it this way?
It's basically the dynamic. Because before, let's see, after plant closed, got divorced, I was kind of single for a little bit there.
Yeah.
I would kind of do some, but I would get up early. Like I would get up early and knock my work out. So I'd be off.
My face, I'm like, wait, what? You don't have to get up and you get up?
I would get up purposely like at 4 or 5 in the morning. Well, I still get up at 5, but I used to get up and like go straight to work. Like I'd get up, make coffee, sit down and just go to work and like knock my shit out before like 11 or 12. That way my day's done. Like after that, it's like, okay, I can go train. I can go do whatever I want. That was single life. That was my single life.
Okay. Still the same.
Once.
So it's just kind of how you operate.
It's just, yeah, it's how I operate. Now it's like, you know, now the days kind of move forward a little bit, you know, just because kids go to school, kids come home from school. So I have to be somewhat in tune with their schedule because they need dad, you know.
Yeah.
I can't like at 5 in the afternoon, 6 in the afternoon, late in the evening, 6, 7 in the evening, be like, oh, I'm going to go upstairs and go work for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That would be time away from them. So that wouldn't be too ideal.
Yeah. So
here's why dogs are great. They'll nap with you whenever you want them to.
So for listeners, right, should we try to give things that we know have worked for people? Because are we saying like for people that have desk jobs, how can they maximize that for go ahead.
Well, and here's the truth. Like there's probably a college kid. The truth, Alberto speaking the truth. There's a college kid out there that's like listening to this, and he's like, "Holy crap, I am screwed in a few years. Like I'm gonna be just like piled over like this for like 12 hours a day." So I guess if they're, and this is a habit you can start early, is that you do have to kind of match up your training with whatever else you might have going on in life. Even when you are a college kid, it's probably a good habit to kind of start getting into, because that is the one thing about what we do is that the majority of the people who bodybuild, who powerlift, they have other jobs, and we can't just program for them like quarantined athletes. Yeah. So I guess dealing with these situations, like it almost comes up with everyone. It's like, and you it's almost second nature to start any form of consultation with an athlete with like, what do you do for a living? Because it is that important. And whether you like it or not, you have to work around that. Or if there's no food, there's no money for the proteins and stuff, right? So
yeah. And so there's lots of ways. I mean, first off, the days, right? Like some people, I want to say almost half my people prefer to work out in the morning before their job starts. Like they'll get up at 5 or whatever. Like I'm trying to think of the people that do have desk jobs, or like a lot of them that are very regimented enjoy that. And then there's some people that like to do like their cardio in the morning if they're prepping, and then they'll go to work, and then they'll do their weight training at night. Yeah. What other options? I mean, we don't really do too many people that have the opportunity to go to the gym full on twice. But
well, like you said, that's actually a fair point. A good deal of people of most, like, yeah, I'd say about half of my athletes train in the morning. And I think it's just something they came up with to ensure, first of all, that they get the training before the day beats them down. And it's kind of like the first thing they do.
Yeah.
I've tried training in the morning, but it didn't work out. You know, and it's funny, it's like I type in their loads into their sheets. I'm like, oh my God, this is happening at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
But
I couldn't imagine.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's something that almost with everyone you have to work around, and you know, the athlete will usually do a good job of bringing it up that, you know, like I work this labor intensive job. Sometimes if it's new or they're transitioning to it, you know, something that was working well before is not going to work as well now. But yeah, I think each situation everyone's going to be a little different, but I do think that we can probably, between the three of us, give people some general recommendations if they're transitioning into like either one and having a hard time keeping up with their training.
Yeah, it's just that you'll have to be flexible throughout your life. Like, I don't think the way that
Yeah.
any of us train now is the way that we've always trained ever since we were starting training. Like, yeah, I started caring about it when I was in grad school, and I was training 2 or 3 times a day. But it was like I had thought I had to do the morning fasted cardio, so I did that shit with a red line pill. Stupid. So I'd take a red line and go walk around the OU campus, come home, weight train, and then get ready to go to the lab for the day. And then right before I went to home, I would like boot camp or something stupid. It was crazy for a little bit there. But it, like Jeff said, I think you've even said that you used to do accessories in the morning and compounds at night or something too, right, Jeff?
Yeah, when schedule got a little bit crazy, I was splitting my workouts up into 2 sessions. More so for time constraints. Yeah. So I'd knock out the accessories in the morning because, like Berto, I'm not gonna be deadlifting, right at like first thing in the morning. I just can't do it. But doing a set of curls or doing arm work or something like that is not that demanding. Yeah. So I would knock that out, and then in the evening time or late afternoons, I would knock out it like a compound movement. That worked out pretty well, actually. If I had if my schedule was set up again for that, I wouldn't mind that at all. Because it was like not only did it get me more mobile, like twice instead of once during the day, but it's just like it broke up my day to where it just made it more exciting in a way. Like, ooh, I get to train twice.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to it, like I had one guy. I think this is a good example. I had one guy that I work with on Skype. He's a tile setter. So he's on his hands and knees all day. Uh-huh. Yes, hands and knees all day long setting tile. And I've installed flooring in my house. That wrecked me. It wrecks me. It wrecked me. So this is what this guy does all the time. So deadlifting and squatting, like trying to do that twice per week was a no-no for him. Mm-hmm. Like it was just too much on his lower back. So I had to be aware of that. Okay, I got a program around that. And then he ended up getting a different job. He finally just said, screw this, I'm done with this job. He got a different job. And then it was like, okay, now we can start doing a little bit more in the weight room because his recovery is there. He's not being, basically demolished all damn day.
Yeah.
So you have to, I think, if you got to think about the job you are doing, the physicality of it and what it entails, and then you should program around that, not the other way around. And then same thing if you're a coach. Find out what people do. Don't just write up a program without knowing what they do. It's like, because that could really make a huge impact on things.
Yeah. Unless they prefer it. Like you do have people though that will only do jobs that support their training.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have both? Right.
That's kind of why. That's why I left that one gig, the granite thing. I was like, like this is messing up my gains, basically.
That's why I left cocktail waitressing when I was with you.
Oh, yeah. See,
I forgot about that. That was like 3 months long. Yeah. Right when I moved to Cali.
That wrecked you. I remember that. I'm like, I don't like this job.
I had to wear heels.
I quit my Baskin Robbins job in high school because messing up my bicep curls. Scooping the ice cream.
Too much volume.
No, I had to wear heels. And you had to be available to do, there's like morning swing and night shift, and you had to be able to interchange through. So like some days I would work like 10 a.m. to like 4 p.m. and then some days I'd work 4 p.m. to whatever, and then sometimes in the middle of the night. And it was screwing with my sleep, and I had to wear heels. And I think it only took me like 2 months. And I was like, I guess I'm going to figure out the internet shit because this isn't going to work.
But if I could go back to like when I first got that job, I think what I would have done differently, transitioning into like something that was a little bit more labor intensive, because there's that old saying about the squatting every day. The squatting every day, people use it about the garbage guy that's lifting up cans, and he's sore at first, and then he gets better, right? So I think eventually you do kind of get used to it for sure, but you kind of need to adapt your training until it gets to that point, because I think. Had I, when I started that job, maybe cut my volume in half to about maintenance, and then slowly over the course of weeks worked it back up to where it was, I think it would have been a much better transition for me, and training would have been a whole lot more enjoyable and realistic, to be honest.
Yeah, I had and it's really like to us that's so obvious now, right? If your work has
Yeah.
a big giant shift, then your training needs a giant shift. That's one of those like ego always gets in the way. Though, like I had a girl who was, we were talking about, okay, we're gonna have to shift around your volume a little bit or like decrease a little bit till we can get recover, blah blah. And she's like, I look at this on paper and I should be able to do this. I hate this. Like it feels stupid. I'm like, it's just it doesn't mean you're weaker. We're just doing more, and that's it's always hard, right, with the pride. Um,
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That was my thing. I think that's why I couldn't. In the back of my mind, I knew maybe you should adapt a little bit or change your split or whatever bro solution I had, but something felt wrong. But I felt like I needed to push through because, the muscle magazines and the ads and everyone's going hard, so I need to as well. So yeah, I think it's hard for an athlete to admit that, shit. First of all, I have this job that interferes with my gains, and the fact that this is perhaps something you can't do right now, that's difficult.
yeah.
But it's usually the smarter decision is to taper things slowly in.
Yeah, and just remember it's
'Cause
temporary. It feels so final
yeah,
when you're like, I'm a pussy. And it's like, no, you just have to chill out for
yeah.
like a little bit. You're not forever like a weenie.
Because I remember when I first got that job at the auto plant. I mean, it wasn't like you're lifting heavy stuff, but like you used your hands a lot. I remember I'd wake up in the morning and my fingers would literally be like stuck. I'd have to physically open my fingers up. That's how bad it was. And I remember I didn't change. I was still training hard, and I'm like thinking, like in hindsight, man, I should have just said, okay, let me just train extremely light, or take just like instead of going to the gym so often during the week, cut it way down just to let my hand. Once my hands got to a point where they adapted, then get the training going again. But I did.
Yeah.
I was like one of those people with the ego, like, no, I'm going to push through this.
Yeah.
But man, it was insane how cramped up my fingers were.
Yeah. And it goes both ways too. Like the more obvious thing we've talked about is like, okay, chill out when it's time to chill out or whatever. But I think people forget too that in terms of the pain that we've talked about and the joint care and the whatever, like you can, if you have to train in the morning because you have to be home at night with your family or when your kids go to bed, you can do a 30-minute, again, like I say, joint care session, but you can do your yoga-ish things or your rolling or your stretching or your position work or, whatever you need. Because at a certain point, preventative maintenance goes a long way.
And it doesn't
Yeah,
have to
no.
be an hour a day, or it could just
Nah,
be 5, 10 minutes.
it freaks me out how many people can't like just sit on the floor. Like you can just sit on the floor in front of your couch, do some wall angels, because powerlifters, hips and shoulders, or anyone that's doing heavy benching and squatting, those are complicated joints, and almost everyone has an injury there at some point in their lifting career. There's no reason you can't be doing like planks or there's just a lot that you can do that keeps you from, like you said, just getting stuck. Like there's no reason you should go more than 4 hours without moving, in my opinion, while you're awake. Again, in my opinion, it's not like yeah, sure, have your Sunday and like watch football all day or whatever. But if you really care about getting better at certain things or not being in pain or maximizing your day, but you can't necessarily go to the gym as long as you'd like to, there's lots of stuff you can do with your body weight.
And you get the hang of it over time. Like I think we all started with a certain way to try to deal with it, and then over time, if you just give it some time, right?
Yeah.
You start to develop these little things that work really well for you. Like for me, a recent finding was like lifting my feet up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow, really? That simple, right? So
Yeah.
over time you develop little things, and just intuitively, I think after you get off it a few times, right? And then all the stuff comes back and you're like, all right, I'm not going to do it again. But you do it a few more times. But then finally you nip it in the butt and you commit to what you need to do to feel better.
Yeah.
I found myself just finding like, what is the smallest amount of this that I can do that I can keep up with? And I've been there. I've done a really good job of that for like the last 2 years, actually. And the last 2 years have been like ridiculously healthy. So, but it took a while to get there for sure.
I remember when we were in Australia, and I look over at you. Well, I don't know who was presenting. It might have been Jeff. And I saw you doing this. I don't know if the viewers can't see it, but basically an isometric tricep extension because you had some elbow pain.
Yeah. We freaks in here. We do stuff like
that. But that's what
yeah.
I'm saying. Like, it was going to take up a whole shit ton of your day, but it, same thing. I swear, like 10 times a day, you'll see me doing air angels, I guess, with my shoulder because it gets just like stuck. Same as like we're in the middle of meetings and Jeff will just stand up for no reason and we're looking at his crotch. Because I just know that, okay, we've been sitting too long.
You do it. Like, if you care, you do it. It's like that simple. Yeah.
Well, look where my knee is now.
Yeah, his knee up. Yeah.
I've been shifting around since we've been talking.
Yeah. It's honestly, this is like super non-related. I mean, maybe it is to desk jobs, but it's a real big common fallacy that all the work happens at the gym. Like there's so much shit you can do outside the gym to help you in the gym.
Yeah, just how stuff out the gym can affect your gym negatively, it also works the other way around. Like you can counter it, right? Yeah. And it doesn't take a whole lot at the end. Like it really doesn't, and it's totally worth it.
Yeah. When I'm on the way, now I think about it too, like all the little ones, I'm on the way to the gym for my first session, I'm always yanking on my on this lat because it falls asleep. My whole shoulder joint's like really jacked for the listeners. Yeah. It's been a process the last couple of years, but I'll start by like underhand, like supinated rowing on the, like isometrically on the wheel when I'm at stoplights. Just dumb shit like that. But I don't know. There's just a lot of things that can help. That's all. That has nothing to do with desk jobs, I guess. Really, I fucked up again.
But it's the spirit of it, though. The fact that
Thanks, Bert.
Yeah,
sure.
It's the spirit.
Yeah. If you're an athlete, like you'll care. I think if you're an athlete and this is really what you love, you'll, there's a few times, like I said, I slipped off the whole like self-help stuff, but eventually I'm like, no, I want to train because it means that much to me, and I'll figure out something that I can keep up with, and that's the key.
And it's like the better you get, the further along you are in your training career, the heavier the weights you're lifting, and the more non-lifting stuff you just have to do to make sure that the lifting is possible. Like I could totally get away for a long time not really warming up, or just coming in, swinging my arms and legs around, and let's go. I think even when I met you, Bert, I would be like, "What are y'all doing on the floor for?"
I remember that. I was
like, "How are you at the gym this long?" Like I remember that, and now it's the opposite.
Everyone was like jamming like objects in their flesh at the time.
I had never been exposed to that in my life. Yeah, because I was newish. I was only like 4 years ago. It was 2013. I go into the gym in Sacramento, and I'm like done with my first 2 movements, and they haven't started, like they haven't touched a bar yet because they're still laying on the floor with their balls and bands and all that shit.
Same. That's the same. Like and what sucked is I was always the driver. I always drive these guys around, and I'm like done with my workout, and they're still on the floor, fucking rolling around like they're like.
That changed for me real fast, though. Changed for me real fast within 2 years.
Yeah, but now like I kind of look back, and man, I wish I would have been on the floor with them because shit's getting harder now as I get older.
It's true. What else has been surprising about desk? Riding the desk forever, and it's going to be more and more common, right? Because the internet is just, like there's computers to do a lot of the labor jobs. So I'm just making that up, but it's like there was personal training, right? So 2 decades ago we would all be in the gym all day, but now we're at our desk all day doing the same shit. Yeah. Not the same, but this wasn't an option before.
Exactly. I think, and I used to say this, but I don't even know if I actually believe this now, but I felt that when I did jobs that were more labor intensive, like it didn't affect my heavy lifting as much, but it did affect my ability to produce volume. Okay. So my lifting was a little bit heavier for sure. And then now it's like sometimes, loading a body that is a little tighter than I'd like, and lifting in the heavier rep ranges can sometimes I feel like this kind of directly does get in the way of that sometimes. But I can produce so much more volume because I'm much more well rested when I do make it to the gym.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know, maybe shoot, sorry athletes, but I do kind of program like that to test the waters. I think if and give and take, I take all the other markers into account, like age, training age, all that stuff. But if this dude tells me he's a construction worker and this is when it gets super busy, like I'm like, okay, we're gonna probably bring volume down to like kind of the bare minimum, but probably try to make it up by getting a little stronger while we're there. And then the other way around for someone who is a desk jockey and they're like, dude, I sit like 16 hours sometimes. It's like, all right, we're going to load lighter, but we're going to do a little bit more volume just because you've been doing this all day. So, but I think it's a reasonable way of looking at it. I think what does it affect more? I think, labor intensive affects your volume, and then what we do kind of affects sometimes the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
I think being in contrasting environments, I could probably say, that's right. For me personally, probably true.
Mm-hmm.
Like today, going in there to do some front squats, I thought I was gonna try to lift heavy, but it didn't happen. First set, I was like, oh, that felt terrible. Mm. But the volume work afterwards was easy.
Yeah.
So, and then in the past, same thing. It was like doing a lot of work at the auto plant, like a lot of volume or whatever. It would destroy me basically. It was just like I was just moving constantly all day long, so the recovery wasn't as good.
And you lifted heavier, but to the point back then, like
more failure.
Yeah.
But I didn't I was strong, but I'd say that I'm stronger now on a lot of movements. It was a different type of training back then. Like I wasn't getting stronger like I get strong now because I was going to failure a lot, and my goal wasn't to progressively load the bar all the time. It was more about like training to failure, like how intense can I make this? That was progression to me back then. Probably backwards, but yeah.
Now, for people that, like, we have a weird way, the bodybuilding industry, of like priding ourselves on like not having to do cardio or whatever. But do you guys give cardio to people who don't do shit all day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're inactive and you don't do cardio, those people tend to feel more sluggish.
Yes, and when realistically, when people are gaining, especially, right? Like the issue with most people is that they don't gain in a very lean manner, right? So, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that we usually want a little bit more food than we actually need, right? And I feel that throwing some cardio at the person who is more sedentary kind of makes them a little bit more resistant to that excess fat gain over time. We will gain some, but it definitely helps control it a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It does. Yeah. I feel if you're sedentary, like when I think about like my walks midday, they're kind of like cardio because it's expenditure that does add up if I'm out there 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah, and if you're sitting all day long, 8 to 10 hour days, you're sitting every damn day. Going for a walk for 30 to 60 minutes is not going to hurt your performance in the weight room. It's not that intense. That's like, if I was in an auto plant on my feet all day moving around and I still progressed, then if you're sitting there all damn day and you only walk for 30 to 60 minutes a day, it's not going to impact your training.
Yeah. I think people just feel better. Like I've had a lot of people, when I think about it, there's been the number of people that have been like, hey, do you care if I do a little bit of cardio, versus the people that are like, hey, can we take out these 500 calories a week? Like it never happens the other way. You know what I mean? Like no one's ever saying, I know I do 2 days of 300 calories. Can I not do that at all? Whereas they will definitely ask me. It's usually females. I don't know if that's true for you guys too, but that like want to keep in just a little bit.
Yeah, males tend to forget it. Yeah. Eventually they're like, I just keep forgetting it. Can we get rid of it? I'm like, all right, whatever,
Yeah, but also not to be sexist or whatever genders, but usually the dudes are lifting heavier. Their sets of 6 or 8 do put them super out of breath, whereas females who aren't super late in their career don't really know. it's just typical. I'm not talking shit, but because it was me for a long time, like a 6 to 8 back squat now, I'm so much more out of breath than it used to be. Like it used to just be hard, and now it's like I can't breathe, but I can do this weight, but like I can't breathe. I don't know. They're just different. You have to brace at some point.
If you're
you didn't used to have
sedentary,
to.
I think you got to do cardio unless you're one of those people who can't get enough food and the job was a blessing. Usually, like with that promotion, like people gain a little bit of weight, you know.
What are you talking about?
Oh, like let's just say if Jeff would have been promoted to like one of the big wigs from like the assembly line to, I guess that transition. That was a big one for me with this prep. This is the most sedentary I've ever been, and yeah, I think last time my carbs never got under 400 for more than like 2-3 weeks, and this time they've been in the low threes because of the sitting down.
Yeah. That's the shit. Like, I can tell you this, when I worked at the auto plant, fat loss, I was kind of more like Berto. Like, it was like every week I'm like 1 or 2 pounds, no problems. Now it's like, I'm a slug. I'm like, shit, I got to do a shit ton of cardio to get things happening. And I tried that route of like, okay, let's keep the cardio more moderate and let's lower the food down, and nothing, nada. And it actually looked worse. My training was worse. So once I brought the food up and did more cardio, then I looked more the part, and things are a little bit better. But yeah, it's like if I'm sitting here all day, it's like I'm not expending that many calories, and I don't require a lot of food. That's the thing. It's like a lot of people who are sedentary, they think they should be eating more, but the reality is you just don't require that much food.
Yeah. And then people always try to do that equation based on body weight without ever, like every person's seen the video and followed the equations from whoever about, well, because I weigh this much, I should be able to eat this much. And it's like, not if you don't do shit. You know? Yeah. Of course, there's exceptions either way, but the average person, I think, overestimates the amount of food that they could eat if they don't do shit. And weight training's not...
does not burn a whole lot.
Yeah. As much as you'd think.
Yeah.
Okay.
How sad. But no, it has been something that I've had to adjust to for sure. I'd say this is the first time in any gaining phase of this last off season where I felt myself having to be a little bit more responsible with my eating so that I could gain at an appropriate rate. Whereas in the past, I knew that, you know, if I get over 175, it's like I can do whatever I want and it doesn't matter, you know. Yeah. But yeah, now I'm here up to 10 hours a day sometimes, and yeah, like I feel what the other people feel now.
The other people. All right. What else? For people who have to be at a desk all day, pay attention to recovery, sleep well. Jesus Christ. I feel like, I don't know if I'm making this up. A lot of people that have desk jobs, I feel like are very stressed out. I don't know if it's the lack of movement. I don't know if it's because...
They're usually more mentally stressing jobs. Whereas I remember the moving rocks all day. It was, you know, there was no thinking involved. They just wanted the body to throw things on trucks, basically, you know?
Yeah.
So that's you're a bit more fatigued.
Yeah.
When you do this versus physically fatigued. Yeah.
Yeah, because if my stress is low, my sleep is good and training's cool. If I get stressed out, my sleep gets a little weird and then it's not so cool. Regardless of whatever job I've been in. That is a good point, though.
Yeah. And you said sleep, which I think is key. I think that sleep, it's crazy what it can overcome. But people highly underestimate. I mean, everyone will say, like, yeah, I agree. You know, it's important to get sleep as an athlete, but no one really does it, you know?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'd say that I know that when I get my 60 hours a week, huge difference. But it's hard to keep up with. It really is hard. I'm much better at sleeping than 3 years ago, but but still, like it's something that even I have issues with. Like I always think there's something to be up and do early, or the other way around. It's like, oh, let's just watch one more show of this Game of Thrones thing, that sort of stuff.
It's funny too. Oh, go ahead, Jeff. I'm keeping it.
That's why I like my windows.
Your windows.
This is the way my daily routine is. It's pretty. Because I go to bed right around 9 o'clock every night. I get up at 5 in the morning. Like everything is pretty regimented. But yeah, it's like those, like usually on the Fridays or Saturdays, I'll try to stay up later. Then I do notice like, okay, yeah, I don't feel as good. The sleep is important, like Berto was saying. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, Game of Thrones might not be all that important if it's going to jack up your next squat session.
Maybe. Maybe it calms people down that are real stressed though.
It got really good.
Maybe. It got real good.
Well, I know you're not watching it live, so you can watch that shit.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Fair point.
No, desk people though, right? So when we're prepping, a lot of times I don't know what the hell's going on for them until the weekends when they've slept in and gotten up when their body wanted to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's this one guy on my roster that every weekend he'd lose 2 pounds, and every weekend or not lose 2, but like he would weigh in at least 1 pound less than he did Monday through Friday. And so we'd have to track like Saturday to Saturdays because, he'd have a really stressful job. Got up, he trained before also, so sometimes he couldn't sleep, so he'd get up at 4 instead of 5 to go train. And I'm just like, I don't even, just tell me what you ate on Saturday because I don't know where we're at.
Yeah. That's a lot of my athletes actually. As you mentioned that, I'm like, it's like Monday through Friday. It's just like it's hectic. Mm-hmm. It's commuting to work, long work hours, trying to fit in your training and everything else. And weekends during prep, that's basically the best time to gauge progress, both physically, because they look better after a night's sleep, and based on the fact that they actually got sleep, right? The scale is actually a bit more transparent.
Yeah. I don't know how I made it through grad school and like the thought of waking up to an alarm every morning, and it's gonna make me sound so bad. It's gonna make me sound like such a piece of shit. I know it is, but it's honest. God.
You're gonna sound like a princess.
I know I am. But remember how hard I worked for this job, okay? Just everybody remember how hard I know. I wouldn't have a degree unless I got up at fucking 4 a.m. to do my fasted cardio to go to the lab to earn my master's and train again for the show that I looked like shit at. Okay. I don't know how I did all that because now I have arranged my life in such that the sport does take priority in the terms of time. So I don't wake up to an alarm clock. And so sometimes, usually I go to, Brandon and I head to bed somewhere between midnight and 2 a.m. But some days, like I'm not going to lie, today I woke up at 11 just because it had to happen. Twice a week probably, and usually after 2 a days, I'll get up after 10 or 11 hours of sleep. But then sometimes, like after a rest day, I'll get up after like 5 or 6 hours because my body doesn't know how to like shut off because I'm used to that now. So it's like the opposite. So my sleep is shit if I don't train too much, as weird as that sounds. And then the other thing is, if I have to get up to an alarm, there's something in the back of my head now after a couple years of this, that if I can't sleep well knowing that I have to be up at a certain time, I'm like stressed about whether or not I'll get up. So, yeah, I do sound like a princess, I guess.
But it's not that untypical. Like, people do that. I feel like people feel that they're more productive when they can organize their day, especially the freelance peeps, in a way that covers all their needs. So that I don't think there's like anything wrong with that. But if I could go back, and back when I was waking up to, I still kind of wake up to an alarm clock. But if I could go back to
in the morning, right? You Skype in the morning?
Yeah, so I have to be up. But the alarm clock never wakes me up, so I don't even think about it. So crazy. But I'm not like, I don't just like, there is routine structure to my day. I just sometimes break it, I guess. But back when I was, when I had the other type of jobs where I had to be in certain places, I think I could have made it a whole lot easier for myself if I had a setup similar to Jeff. Like Jeff he's way more structured. And I think that's what helped him keep his head above water during, the 16, was it 16 years at Numi?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, 16 years at Numi. I mean, he had a commute that was an hour and a half, like,
Each way.
to get there
Yeah.
each way. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Alarm clock went
And
off
then
at 3.
and then a little OT, and then he has to come back to train, and he only has these macros because that's what he said. Like those are the type of people that thrive. Like that's the one thing that I see consistently with my athletes is like, again, like if you really love this, like you'll figure out a way, and you'll work with what you have. Whether it be seated or standing or.
Well, yeah. Go ahead, Jeff.
I would say just in general, like the athletes I've worked with, the ones who are the most structured, and I'm talking about like their daily routines are kind of like well structured, and there's a lot of follow through. They're the most successful. The ones that are kind of scattered all over the place and their days look totally different all the time, those are the ones that make the least amount of progress.
Yeah. The one thing I can say that is that the whole adaptability, right? Because like my first prep, I was in grad school, and before I went to bed, I knew everything I was eating the next day, because when I woke up, it was all had to be packed to take to the lab with me, because I wouldn't be back till 10 p.m. So like a lot of times the best thing you can do mentally to be less stressed is to give yourself zero options. And so, again, the rare times, like right now, it's the opposite. Like, my option now, the zero options, I don't have an alarm clock. And the order of operations is the same. I don't do deep work or appointments until all the training's done. Like, I have rules and shit. They're just very different than where they were. But, yeah, I believe that constraints definitely are necessary for every athlete. For sure. It looks different for different people, but whatever your set of rules are, I would say make them and respect them.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like someone like me where it's like, okay, you set your alarm the same time every day. It could be, your structure is going to look similar day to day, but it might have some flexibility to it. But it looks the same over time for the most part. You may have, okay, I get up an hour later today, but okay, that just means my day goes an hour longer.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah.
What's this about? Bodybuilding at a desk.
Yeah, but it's like bodybuilding is like an adult, it seems like. Right?
An adult.
Right?
Bodybuilding as an adult. Yeah, like people have responsibilities.
Yeah.
Right? Don't be a piece of shit. Take care of them, but to like, what is your balance and how are you honoring that so that it supports your goals, kind of thing.
Yeah, like find cracks within your, like they're there, and like we do it with our days, even that they're quite pliable. But we figure out little things that help us at the end in the gym. And I go back to when I was a personal trainer. Like whenever I signed up someone, it's like sometimes I will eat during the session, and you just have to be okay with that. So find little cracks, whether it be like Jeff, get up every 45 minutes and go do something, like in my case, I switch between sitting and standing, and, Andrea,
it's absurd. There's a lot.
It's that thing you do. Yeah. But figure it out, I guess.
Well, that's a good way to put it. Figure it out. You don't just be like, well, so-and-so does it, so is that. And don't be like, I can't because work. Like people, you make shit happen.
Yeah.
If you want it. That's all.
And we all did at some point with this. And I still feel like I do. There's definitely still times where, even though what I do revolves around this, it's hard to make it happen.
Yeah. But you will.
That's why I set the alarm at 4:35 every day to get my cardio in to start my day before the family starts getting going, because that's my window. Otherwise, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just got to do stuff that I don't prefer to wake up at 4:35. I really get it's like 6 or 7 when they do, but gotta get shit done.
And then that leaves, and Princess over here was up to 3 the other night trying to fix her shit before Brad's thing came out, and like all that. So it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it goes both ways. All right. Parting words of wisdom, Berto. Jeff did it last time.
Figure it out. Put down the square, Steve. It'll be a grindy rep or something. Like, figure it out, right? Yeah.
All right. That's it, guys. See y'all next time.
Hey, everybody. It's Eric Helms. Thanks for tuning into our podcast. As you know, at 3DMJ, we promote evidence-based approaches to the lifting community. If that's something you want to dive deeper into, I'd encourage you to check out my research review, Monthly Applications in Strength Sport, or for short, MASS. This is a review that myself, Dr. Mike Zerdos, and Greg Knuckles put out every month. We cover the latest research publications that are applicable to strength and physique athletes, or anyone who's looking to get stronger or improve their body comp. Our content is in both written and video format. For more information on how to subscribe, check out 3dmusclejourney.com/mass. That's 3dmusclejourney.com/MASS for further details. Thanks for tuning in.